Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to the top 10 most hated countries in the world in brackets, because of course, this is... I mean, to be fair, in his videos, he does use a lot of sort of statistical views, but I know this isn't, again, factual. It's just opinions and stuff like that. It's funny how he's tagged the United States and Russia. So they're two countries I assume are going to be here. Also, I guess it's people's perception on the countries and not the people, because... I'll be honest, I don't hate any people from any countries. I don't really hate any countries, to be honest. I'm not really that kind of guy. But if I was to guess countries that would be here, it'd either be the UK or England. I feel like England's the country in the UK that's hated, so it'd probably be England, but I'm guessing it would just be seen as the UK. Again, the US probably because it's tagged, Russia, China, all the sort of, I say all the powerful countries. A lot of sort of the most powerful countries like the US and China, like Russia. I would say England, but no, we're not. But yeah, maybe like North Korea. These sort of countries, I'm gonna assume are here, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be surprised by again which countries are here. Statistically, I'm guessing it's gonna be like a few sort of stats or graphs that define this list. And again, I don't know fully, but that's just my guess. But we're gonna get into this again. This means nothing to me. I'm just sort of here to see. I don't hate any countries. I don't hate any people. So if you're from one of these countries, I love you. I don't know you, but I love you. But yeah, let's get into this. Quick shout out to my Instagram and my Twitter. Links in the description for those. Same for my Patreon. Links all there for those interested. But let's just jump into this, man. Let's see the 10 most hated countries.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs and a list about the most hated countries on the planet. Yeah, people hate different countries. Several different organizations do different surveys on what country is the most hated or disliked on the planet. The Reputation Institute, Pew Research does this thing called Attitude Towards Different Countries. I looked at all the different surveys that I could find and I came up with a list of countries that most frequently show up on these studies or surveys, whatever you want to call them. There are a lot of different reasons people from other countries may hate another country. It could be things that happened in the past or now. It could be for economic reasons or military reasons. For whatever reason, people hate. It's just a fact. This is a very interesting list. I found some on the list. They really haven't done anything horrible in decades and decades, but people hate them going back hundreds and hundreds of years. It's really strange.
But when you say people hate them, again, is it just people taking these surveys? Do they actually hate the country and the people, or what? Because I'm sure that a lot of these people taking the surveys probably just hate the governments. They don't actually hate the people, and again, the countries. Because it's like, somewhere like, what countries have a leader that just fucks up everything now? I mean, I'd say North Korea. Probably not a great example, but I don't hate North Korean people. I wouldn't even say I hate the country. I just hate the people in charge. But that's just most places, I guess.
All right, let's see what people say are the most hated countries.
Most people's opinions, should I say.
Number 10, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is an oil-rich country in the...
Is this the one? Is this like to do like maybe like human rights and stuff? Maybe not. I don't
Persian Gulf, and everyone's heard of Saudi Arabia. This place is highly dominated by religious laws and go all the way to medieval punishments like stoning, lashing, amputation for thieves. Women really get a raw deal here too, with lack of most freedoms that we take for granted here in the United States that are just part of our normal life. I was reading some of their laws and thinking, why would they stop a woman from doing that? One of their laws that just baffled me, which I knew about it for a long time, I just thought it was strange, started reading about it, was women, when they go outside the home, have to cover themselves from head to toe, including their faces, and they're not allowed to go any place alone. They have to take a male relative with them. Could be a brother, could be their husband, whatever. I'm sure that gets old quick for both the woman and...
So again, I know a lot of these countries, they have cultural things that have, you have nothing against it. It's just the way you go up. But then there's certain laws against certain people, whether it's their sexuality or their race or just things like that, not allowing people to do certain things. And then the way you sort of not treat them, or what is it, punish them for whatever it is. It's just like, wow, this is really like just an absolute mess, to say the least.
And her brother, who every time she's got to go to the store, if her husband's working, she's got to call her loser brother to come over and escort her to the store. They got a whole bunch of other reasons that rub outsiders the wrong way here, and that's what gets them on lists like this. Most tourists will tell you that to stay away from this place because it's kind of boring to visit. Number 9, Turkey. Turkey has had a love-hate relationship with the world for centuries. Turkish people
What? Now I'm wondering what Turkey would be here for. Because like Saudi Arabia, I understand is that I have sort of like heard stories of like things happening to people for certain reasons, like again what I've mentioned before. But Turkey, I've not really thought of Turkey as if like this. I don't know.
are great. I know a few of them. All of them are wonderful people. What's putting them on the list, according to several sources, is their current government, and actually their past government when they were the Ottomans. When you go way back,
government.
Turkey is hated because of the Armenian genocide. The massacre was carried out by the Ottoman Empire and resulted in the deaths of 1.5 million people. Armenians, mostly. If you don't know the Ottoman Empire, it's probably because you're from the United States. We kind of just brush over it in our world history, but the Ottoman Empire was basically big in this area, and it all came from Turkey. And I just totally broad brushed that again, but that's give you the idea what's going on there. Although the massacre is widely known, it is still denied by the Turkish government. It's like they know it happened, everyone else knows it happened, but if they don't admit it, it didn't happen. It's weird.
Jeez, that is a bit of a mess, to be honest.
Number 8, Iran. I know many Persians. I worked in Beverly Hills for a lot of years, and it's filled to the brim with Persians. Like Turkey, the people are kind, decent, very smart, and friendly. It's their government. It supports terrorism around the world, has horrible human rights records.
Their government support terrorism. Am I hearing that right?
Keeps threatening the world with nukes, and it likes to piss off the most powerful nations on the planet. The people are great, though, and it's not just the United States they like rubbing the wrong way. Everyone. If you're a major power in this world, Iran's gotten under your skin at some point. Number 7, India. If any country excels in discrimination, it's India. This is one of the main reasons people hate this place. The Indians believe that hating you for your color, race, gender is perfectly a normal thing. Now, I'm not saying all of them. This is just a general feel. I'm sure you could run into a lot of really nice Indians.
I mean, I know a lot of very nice Indians. Again, this is probably just a select few. I'd hope so. It makes you realise racism really isn't just a thing that happens like where I live or wherever. It happens everywhere for different, like, in different ways and different reasons. It's like, what? I was not expecting to hear that.
You can imagine, puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, and it kind of keeps them away from visiting India. The country isn't safe, especially for women. They are cracking down on this, but it isn't terribly rare to find out that some woman was attacked by a group of men. For a while there, it seemed to be happening like every week. I mean, brutal stuff too. Not like touching on the bus or something like that. It was ugly. On top of that, they aren't the best neighbors to other countries around them. They have a really bad reputation for that. Number 6, the United Kingdom.
Oh, there's going to be many reasons, and many reasons that I can't disagree with. And here's my city. Come on, boys, we've made it into the video. Let's go.
Yes, believe it or not, the United Kingdom is...
I'm not surprised, but again, I would probably say 99% of the hatred is towards England, because places like Scotland and Wales, I mean, there's no reasons to hate them. Just beautiful countries.
It's hated by a lot of people, and it's not so much as what's going on now. They have a terrible past. It's thought by many around the world that the UK, the United Kingdom, is hated by a lot of people, and it's not so much as what's going on now. They have a terrible past. It's thought by many around the world that the UK is extremely greedy, and it ruled about a quarter of the earth at one point. It was one of the first in the world to bring in a slavery system. It encouraged civil wars, oppressed and looted many countries, and is responsible for the division and destruction of several countries in different continents around the world, and still involved in most of the major wars that happen on the planet. But if you go way back, I mean, look at anything to do with history, especially here in the United States, you could tell England was they were kind of a-holes. And the arrogance they had back in the day about it was just incredible. One of the best scenes, there's a movie called Last of the Mohicans, and Daniel Day-Lewis is just like this scout woodsman, and this British officer, he saves him, and then he's all, how is it you came across this war party of Native Americans that were attacking the British? And he goes, well, we were heading to Kentucky. He's all, why are you heading to Kentucky? All of our scouts are heading to someplace else. And he goes, well, I ain't one of your scouts. And he just, the British officer's demeanor was like, what do you mean? He's all, yeah, I'm just not doing that stuff. Great movie though. One of the reports I read there's a big problem with the British. Obviously, they were in India for a very long time, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it seems very interesting, but it's a little more time consuming than I wanted to get into. They say the UK destroyed India and ruined its education system. What'd they do? Like steal all the teachers? What went on there? I gotta read about.
So maybe we are the reason India are in this list, to be honest. There we go. That could have led to that. You just don't know.
That.
Probably is the case, to be honest.
Number 5, China. China has a lot of people, and they execute a staggering amount of them. They have forced labor camps, ugly history, and cheap exports.
Bro, there's what is it? The Muslims, is it? I can't say the word. It begins with like a U. But there's some fucked up stuff going on there, man. I can't even lie. What's it called again? I don't know if I should search it up, because I feel like if I do, the video is going to probably just get flagged up or something. If you know what I mean, it's a mess. Like, the way those people are treated, it's actually just scary how it's able to happen in this world, man. But we'll leave it.
They've been accused of currency manipulation and have decided that the island of Taiwan belongs to them. There's always something going on between those two. Some of their low-cost products include medicine and food. On a few occasions, they've decided to use materials that are less expensive so they could drive up profits, make the product cheaper. The downside is this has caused some deaths. That type of thing has gone on for decades with them. So many times they found out some toy that was inspected before, all of a sudden they switched it out to having lead-based paint or something like that because it's cheaper on a kid's toy. As you can imagine, all those things have gotten them on this list. Number 4, Israel. The Israeli people and the Palestinian people have been going at each other's throats for decades and decades.
This is where it gets very
fire
political.
Rockets at each other from across the border.
Those videos are crazy. Did you see any of those videos on Twitter? Like, wow. Shit was so, like, just... It's just... I don't know. It was just so, like, sort of... shocking.
The politics and the drama that has gone on here for, like I said, decades and decades is just far too complicated to cover in a 10-minute video. But whenever you have warring neighbors, the one that's usually doing the most damage is the more powerful one, which brings on a lot of hatred. And that's part of Israel's problem. I mean, there's a ton that goes into this, but basically the war that they've had with the Palestinian people and the fact that they're a Jewish nation surrounded by Muslim nations probably doesn't help matters either. Number 3, Russia. Russia has a history of being aggressive to its neighbors, not just in military terms, economics, hacking, forcing a bunch of countries to join the Soviet Union, and before you say it, yes, some went willingly. At least the people in charge went willingly. It's really hard to find average Joes from the old Soviet Union that were on board with this whole operation. Russia likes to create conflicts between major nations of the world, which is designed to be beneficial to Russia. They like to kill people that disagree with them, no matter what country the person happens to be standing in. You know, like Russians go someplace else. They've been talking to the media bad about Russian government. Next thing you know, they've been poisoned with uranium or something weird.
What's that guy called again? He's literally talking about that guy. I did a reaction to him recently. The journalist, like the meme journalist. He was everywhere.
Like that. They're right now in the news because they've jailed an opposition leader that's been on a hunger strike. This isn't the first time they've done that either. All those things and some other things make Russia one of the most hated countries on the planet. Number 2, the United States of America. Yeah.
So North Korea's going to be number 1.
You heard me. My country, our country, if you're watching from the United States, is the second most hated country in the world. Now, it's hard to believe if you're from the country, much like if you're from Russia, you're probably, wondering why people would hate Russia. That's just how things are. We're kind of designed to be that way. The United States of America is hated by many because of its vast military and economic power over the rest of the world.
I can see that. I mean, you can just see from YouTube comments alone. Whenever it comes to like a video about the US, people just get angry, bro. Get angry. Comment sections to do with this country are so toxic. Of people from other countries like the UK and stuff. It's baffling to me. I remember mentioning that before, and it is just like I've realised just not to check a video comment section if it's to do with like the US versus UK comparison, because people will just be saying some outlandish stuff.
And that's just a fact. We've been involved in so many different conflicts which have just angered people from the areas and in the countries that the conflicts happened in. There are a lot of cases wondering why we got involved. You would probably have to go back to the Korean War and World War II to find a time that we were truly justified by going to war there, and the people are probably happy with it 90% of the time. I mean, the people from those countries. But considering we've been involved in all these conflicts, we are one of the wealthiest countries on the planet, and we have the largest military, it's hard not to be hated by third world countries because of that. There are so many other things for all these, really, not just the United States, but for all these countries, there's thousands of other reasons people might hate that country. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of them in the comment section below. Keep in mind, before you tell me I forgot something or I didn't include something, this is a 10-minute video. You know, I'm not going to get to everything. I'm just kind of giving you an idea. But it is a very interesting subject. It's worth doing some reading on. And before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is...
Shout out to this channel, man. It is an interesting channel.
And number 1. North Korea. Who didn't see this one coming? You know, when you put as much effort into hiding what is going on in your country as North Korea does, you know what's going on isn't good. North Korea has been a big pain in the ass to everyone for a very long time. We know their people are starving, jailed, executed, they disappear in the middle of the night, and they're subjected to an insane propaganda program. They're told that their leader doesn't have to use the restroom because he works so hard for the North Korean people that he burns off all the calories he takes in, so
I can see, but
he never creates any waste. They also tell the people of North Korea that he has to take phone calls from other countries to solve problems that other countries can't figure out. They also have their own Netflix knockoff called Man Bang. I'm not kidding. It's called Man Bang. I don't even know how to explain they came up with that name, but it doesn't mean what it sounds like to Americans. I'm sure it means something different to them. This is a streaming service that has 3 channels, 2 of which are government news channels filled with nonsense, and 1 channel that shows government-approved movies only. Those who live in the country suffer from restrictions of freedom as their internet access is heavily censored, poor infrastructure, low standard of living, and the reason they're all poor and their infrastructure is crumbling is because they put all their money towards nuclear weapons. This is an obsession with the North Korean government. It threatens the world with nuclear war like on a weekly basis. They have an aggressive attitude towards neighboring countries, and this has caused them to be pretty much isolated from the rest of the world. And people go on to believe that they're just totally evil, which I'm sure the people are just fine. It's just their government is just whacked. The outside world knows very little of what's going on in North Korea. Every once in a while we'll get someone that defected over, they finally got out of the country, and they...
But those stories are crazy when someone like defects from North Korea and like tells a story of what it was like to live there. And some of the stories of like what happens to people, like you'll escape, but then you'll like be in the border of China and like they'll always just help North Korea because I feel like are they allies of North Korea, or they just got decent relations with the country, and they just send them back. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like how can you get out of that situation, man? They
just tell us horrible things. I remember there was this soldier that jumped across the border not too long ago. He was starving. He had seeds from trees in his stomach that he just couldn't get enough food, so he was actually eating these big seeds that weren't digested, and it was kind of sad.
Wow. Jeez.
All right, that's today's list. Hope you get...
Interesting one though, man. I do find these videos very like wild to learn about. The British were definitely not one of the first to bring it in a slavery system. Slavery systems have been pretty much dominant throughout human history. The Romans come to mind. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing, I don't really know the in-depth details, but I feel like it's one of those things that you can't actually judge. It's probably been going on for thousands of years, but you just don't know. It's not the people, it's the government. That pretty much applies to every country on the list, including the USA. Not a fan of Iran's government whatsoever, but I've liked literally every Iranian I've ever met. People from all these countries, I mean, the people from every country in the world, there's going to be bad people, there's going to be really good people, and the majority are always going to be like the good people, but what can you do, right? When you've got these nerds in charge doing all this craziness, I guess people are just going to not like the countries or whatever. So if you break it all down, all these places are hated because of politicians and politics, I agree. USA is probably on the most hated and most loved list. I can see that. I can actually see that very like... He actually did the most loved one, didn't he? Maybe I'll see that one next and see if it is. I should totally agree with the position of the United States. I love this country, I love its people, I love our freedoms, but I don't like the government from either party. Now I'll do the most loved countries in the world. But he's did that, and maybe he's done that, sorry. Maybe I'll react to that in the future. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. More reactions like this on the way, but what are your thoughts on this? If you're from one of these countries, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, if you actually have a hatred for one of these countries, or you like sort of strongly agree with this list, let me know why. But yeah, that's the video. Until next time, like, subscribe, peace.